smarter than my smartphone. I doubt it, Steve.
Truce, Bob, it scans your heart rate, blood pressure, oxygen, and stress levels.
Wow. Can he make you a coffee, eh?
Well, not yet, but it can save you up to 35% on your monthly life insurance premiums.
Jeez, 35%? That sounds like a deal.
Just check with your financial advisor about Momentum Life Returns. Momentum, protecting your journey to success. Momentum is an authorized financial services and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Did you know that Lotto Star gives you real money back doing what you enjoy the most? You heard right. We're the only online betting company that rewards you with real ka-ching for simply placing bets on your favorite games. To date, we've paid out over 250 million rand in star rewards. Visit lottostar.co.za, your world of live games. Lotto Star is licensed by the Mpumalanga Economic Regulator. No under 18. NRGP 0800 006 008. T's and C's apply. All games are fixed odds betting events.
PG Glass Repair, PG Glass Replace.
Hi, I'm Komodo, PG Glass Technician. At PG Glass, we keep your windscreen chip-free and crystal clear.
Choose PG Glass. Quality you can trust. Visit pg.co.za.
On 947, this is EWN.
Good evening, I'm Ramaphosa. We continue with the latest developments coming out of Washington, D.C. Journalists have been granted access into the White House as President Cyril Ramaphosa is set to meet his U.S. counterpart Donald Trump. The highly anticipated meeting is expected to begin shortly, and it comes at a time when the two nations have had frosty relations in recent months. Earlier, it emerged that newly appointed South African Special Envoy to the United States, Mcebisi Jonas, would not join the president's delegation on this working visit. Primedia is in Washington for us.
A wet and gloomy Wednesday in Washington ahead of that critical meeting between President Cyril Ramaphosa and his U.S. counterpart Donald Trump. Champion golfers Ernie Els and Retief Goosen and representatives from labor and business such as Kosatu Zingiswa-Losi and businessman Adrian Gore will also form part of Ramaphosa's delegation. According to some reports, Trump might use today's meeting to push for U.S. companies to be exempt from South Africa's BEE laws. This is also being fueled by talks of the president's key ally, Elon Musk, and his desire to bring internet service Starlink to the country. Musk failed to acquire a license due to not meeting its BEE quotas. But ministers here in Washington insist the country's laws will not be changed to serve an individual. CD Madia, Eyewitness News, Washington, D.C.
On the weather front, a fine Thursday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Joburg dropping to an overnight low of 5 degrees, peaking at 17. Pretoria 7 and 19, Vereeniging 5 and 16 degrees. Ramaphosa, Eyewitness News.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
#MSW.
You may begin to feel anxious or excited.
Honest, deliberate, engaging, uncensored.
High dosage administration can cause adverse reactions.
And most importantly, independent in mind and execution.
This is a normal response. Are you ready?
Marawa Sports Worldwide.
And there's the goal. It's been given. Habry did indeed play Kakana offside. And South Africa dramatically take the lead. Well, kicked away by Smith. And there is the final whistle. The Avagita have won the Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations for the very first time.
African champions in the studio. Coach Raymond Mdaka is here in studio. The hero, the scorer, Khumulemo Kekane is also here. What's Fletcher's nickname?
Boss. You call him boss. Big boss.
The big boss?
Yeah, big boss.
Why?
It's just the thing with Eli. No, when he talks, he likes to call like that. The person, boss. How are you, boss? With the accent. So from the first day, that's when he just said, no, you're the big boss.
You're the big boss?
Yeah, big boss.
With the accent, man. You know? I mean, what a player.
Congratulations to Amachida. And it's unfortunate seeing the Moroccans, not accepting the defeat,
And then you go on as Morocco to win Fair Play Award.
Yeah, I think this year is South Africa's year, man.
Who loves development. He's on the line. Augusto Palacios.
I saw the champion and I saw Coach Raymond. I said, let me to keep my message because of this boy, the character of this boy, the arrogance and the feel. This was my keeping myself emotional. And I want to continue say in my 44 years in South Africa, This country has fantastic talent of players. And the 70 go to the World Cup and the 20 go to the World Cup is unbelievable. Very successful. Congratulations to you.
You've heard what Coach Palacios has said. I mean, he's somebody that knows this very, very well. How do you react to what he said?
I call him the professor. He's the one with the first messages before the game, first messages after the game. You have to listen.
Robert Marawa, live on 947. Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Sowetan Live. #MSW.
All right, from the White House to Bilbao to England and off to Germany. That's our trip today. Marawa Sports Worldwide, proudly brought to you by Hollywood Bets.
Let's go! The moments you remember. The games you can't forget. Marawa Sports Worldwide on 947, Vuma FM and Rise FM. Powered by Hollywood Bets.
I can tell you, though, that tonight in Bilbao, two giants are going to be colliding, not as conquerors, but as survivors. Now, Tottenham Hotspur as well as Manchester United, well, they've stumbled the away year, haven't they? I mean, they've dragged through blood, sweat and sheer collapse. And never in the history of European finals have two teams arrived in such absolute disarray. United sitting 16th, Spurs 17th, and between them, a staggering 39 league defeats, and yet one of these fallen giants will rise tonight, not just to lift silverware, but to snatch the unlikeliest of prizes, a place in next season's Champions League. That is a done and dusted. But glory has become kind of salvation here. I mean, this is football stripped to its core. There's no logic, no certainty, just beautiful chaos. Now, one match to flip agony into ecstasy, despair into redemption. I mean, the roulette wheel does spin. It's either going to be white or red, heads or tails, immortality or infamy. And also guiding us through this theater of madness, this whirlwind of tension, is the voice that we all trust, the voice that turns football into poetry. I mean, the legendary Peter Drury. I mean, he'll unravel the drama, heighten the stakes, and also remind us why, even in ruins, football remains the greatest show on earth. Peter Drury is with us here tonight. Peter, good evening and welcome.
Robert, so good to be with you. And I apologise that they've just, as you came...
Yes, Peter. Peter was about to apologise for something. I hope they weren't evicting him from his station where he is. But you heard the magical voice. Something's going on there, but we'll try and figure it out behind the scenes. So whether we get him back on the line or we try and navigate a different route, all I'm saying is that the magical voice that we all know globally is there. He's there somewhere, but I think he's experiencing some difficulty, maybe with the surroundings or maybe where he had posted himself. Remember, he is the man who's going to be doing duty tonight on that game where Manchester United are going to be taking on Tottenham Hotspur. And Peter, I'm not sure if you're back with us now. I know that you're just about to apologize for something.
Yes, Robert, it was for the noise in the stadium, and I apologise for the technical issues. It's very fraught here, you can imagine, and the music has just been pumped up for the first time, just as we were about to go on air together, which didn't help. But that is the nature of the occasion, and you to me, it is truly a story of chaos, of an absolute...
Oh, Peter, you know what you're going to do? Let's try change the way we're doing this thing. I think that affected him. He was fine. He sounded great, but you and I know that's not the sound of Peter Drury. So we'll try and get him back on the line somehow in a much clearer way, in a clearer form. But I can tell you, though, that Ange Postecoglou is very confident about what's going to be happening. In fact, he is not even bothered about his future.
If you win tomorrow night, this is going to be remembered as one of the best seasons in the club's modern history. But kind of conversely, if you lose, it might be remembered for one of the worst league seasons in the club's modern history. I just wondered if you're kind of conscious that you're walking a fine line between kind of two very different types of infamy and history, really.
That depends on your outlook, Dan, but I'll tell you one thing, irrespective of tomorrow, I'm not a clown. I never will be, mate. And you're really disappointed that you would use such terminology about a person who, for 26 years, without any favours from anyone, who's worked his way to be in a position where he's leading out a club in a European major competition, for you to suggest that somehow us not being successful means that I'm a clown, not really sure how to answer that question. No, because I think, again, that would be not really helpful in what is before us right now. I've said to the lads from day one, it's nothing is guaranteed in life. Nothing's guaranteed in sport. So you just got to try and make sure you take every opportunity before you, and that's what I've done my whole career. I've been in this position before, where the big game was the last game I managed. It's not unusual territory for me.
All right, a very confident sounding Ange Postecoglou, and hopefully a better sounding Peter Drury. We got you back, Peter.
Hi, Robert. Yeah, sorry. I think, to be honest, I caught the back end of Ange there, and I was more or less mirroring his words in the sense, not necessarily of his confidence, but of the extent to which this is an untellable game. The supporters of both teams, and please interrupt me if you heard me say this before, I'm not sure what you heard and what you didn't hear, but the supporters of both teams have been utterly empathetic each with the other and almost universal in their refusal to put their heads on the block and suggest who will win this. Because fans of Spurs know that Spurs have been anything but great, and therefore it's hard for them to rely on a Spurs performance. Fans of Manchester United, exactly the same. They've been anything but great. They can't rely on anything except perhaps the vulnerability of the opponent. And that is what serves us up, this extraordinarily chaotic final. And I've been watching football for many years, and I honestly, these things are easily said, I can't remember a major European final with a narrative quite like this one.
It's a crazy narrative, though, Peter, and it's beautifully as you describe it. And a lot of people have been saying that never in the history of European competition has a final been played between two teams so out of form. The lowest league finishes ever to win a major European trophy, and also the lowest to qualify for the Champions League. Now, we both know that if you're Manchester United and you finish 16th, or you're in 16th place right now, that is not Man United. And if you're Spurs and you are in 17th place and you've lost 21 games, that is not Spurs. But does this matter, Peter, in any way? Here's a cup final that could land both of these teams in the Champions League next season.
It's crazy. And it's also the truth. I mean, there are so many lines that tell the same story. Both of these teams have failed to win any of their last 6 games in the Premier League. They've each taken 1 point out of the last 18 points available in the major domestic competition. They appear to be entirely different in Europe, but oddly enough, actually, for each of them, their last 2 wins in the Premier League were against Leicester, Southampton and or Ipswich. That is to say, teams that have been relegated. It is in the case of Tottenham, in the case of Manchester United, January, since they last beat a team in England that will be in next year's Premier League. And the same is true of Tottenham since mid-February. Were it not for the 3 newly promoted teams, Ipswich, Leicester and Southampton, going straight back down, Spurs and Manchester United, unbelievably, would be the bottom 2 in the Premier League. It defies all precedent. It defies all prediction. It defies, frankly, all logic. But this is where we've landed up. And as you say, despite all of that, one of these has the opportunity to grab the golden ticket and to march, leapfrog over a dozen or more teams above them in the Premier League and jump straight into the Champions League. And of course that, for one of them, will set a whole new dynamic. Suddenly they become again one of the magnetic clubs, one of the charismatic clubs, one of the clubs that the most talented players in Europe and across the world will want to join. And so the prize here is out of all proportion with what has gone before it. And it sets it apart. It makes it entirely unique.
Peter, when we bring all of these factors together, and you know that Arsene Wenger has been very vocal about this. He's one of the people that thinks that it shouldn't be that way. He always believes that the best within a domestic league should be representing within the Champions League. Both of the coaches have had a word to say about this. Now they've got to try and motivate the players to shut off the noise and only focus on the beautiful noise in Bilbao. Do you think they'll be up to it?
Funnily enough, yes, I do, because I think there's every reason for them to throw off the chains now and grasp the day, seize the day. Here is a massive opportunity. There is actually nothing to lose here. There's just everything to gain. And whether or not people, Arsene Wenger or anyone else, believes it is how it should be, it is how it is. And so you live the moment, and somebody gets this almighty prize tonight. So I would suggest they go for it. And if one of them does, anything could happen. And this is what's so thrilling about it as a football match. Within what is going to be an extraordinary atmosphere in here, one of them could win 5-0, the other one could win 5-0. It could be a frightened goalless draw. It could be a 4-4 draw. There's no sort of form guide which indicates how this game should go. Beyond, I suppose, the fact that Tottenham have already this season beaten Manchester United 3 times, twice in the Premier League and once in the League Cup. So Tottenham, in that regard, have it over Manchester United this season, but even that is only at the margins remotely relevant, because this is so one-off, this is so singular, that I don't think anyone says with any confidence how this is going to go.
It's a full-on Tottenham Hotspur team. We have not been able to say this season, Peter. They've been a whole spate of injuries, as you would know, for Tottenham Hotspur. Some of the top players have not been available for them. And we do believe, as far as the team news is concerned, and you could share maybe the latest with us here, but I do believe that Ange has got a full squad available for tonight.
Well, what he has got is his strongest defence, which is important. He is actually missing, though, Robert, a couple of key playmakers. It's a real blow to him to be without Dejan Kulusevski, who can be a difference maker. He's also without James Maddison, who's at his best, a beautiful ball user. So those are 2 substantial misses. What he has, though, is Son Heung-min fit and ready to go. And there's a lot of sentiment around Son Heung-min. He's one of the survivors from the 2019 Champions League final when they lost to Manchester United, also in Spain, in Madrid. And there's a lot of goodwill for him. There's a sense he's coming towards the end of his Tottenham career. He's had an injury-spoilt season. He hasn't quite been himself, but there may be a story to be written there. From Manchester United's point of view, most of the questions are around which of the centre-halves will be fit. We think Matthijs de Ligt won't make it, but Euro might. And further forward, the expectation is amongst most that Rasmus Højlund will play centre-forward for Manchester United, although there is a theory, particularly actually in the regional press around Manchester, that Bruno Fernandes may be pushed even further forward than is normally the case, almost as a false number 9, a sort of dummy centre-forward. That remains to be seen. It's all conjecture at this stage. As I suggest, there are just 1 or 2 little ripples in either side to be ironed out.
Yeah, we never know where Maguire will pop up.
No, well, exactly. Some people are saying he's Manchester United's best centre forward. He's certainly capable, as he's proved in this competition with that remarkable 5-4 goal against Lyon. He is capable of popping up and scoring in the most unlikely moments. So don't rule it out.
Amarim is somebody that's been fairly new to us, and Peter, from your perspective, I know that he's had to face all sorts of bullets, all sorts of questions. He's had to defend a vision that might not be seen now, but he believes that it will be seen in the future. We've seen little snippets of it here and there. Are you seeing this shape, or is it something post what we've seen with other managers of Manchester United, just a struggle to get this team back to its glory days? Yeah, well, I mean, of course it's going to be a long job. It is going to be a long job, and I would say this about Ruben Amorim, and these are not my original thoughts. I read a very good column on this 3 or 4 days ago. Remember when he came to Manchester United back in October, November? When he was approached to do the job, was reluctant to take it on mid-season. He wanted to hold on for 6 months, have somebody do it as a stopgap, so he could start fresh in the summer. He could see that this team wasn't really ready for what he wanted to do with it. He was persuaded otherwise. In fact, he was more or less forced otherwise. It was a now or never. You take this job or someone else is going to get it. So he came and took it, and he has suffered through this season. In fairness to him, the foresight that he showed has come to pass, and it has been really bruising. And the bright, enthusiastic, bright-eyed guy who we first saw back in October, November has at times looked really world-weary. I hope that whatever happens tonight, the world doesn't choose to judge him until he has had a chance to do the job on his terms. That is to say, with a summer behind him, with a transfer window behind him, with a chance to mould the squad into something like the shape he wants it to be.
I, as a football romantic, and that's all I am, I'm not a fan of either of these teams, but as a football romantic who sees the specialness of Manchester United Football Club, I really hope that he is given a brand new fresh start in August, and that he gets a reasonable opportunity to pursue what you rightly called his vision.
Hi Rob, this is Tom Yadi from Eden. Greetings to you and greetings to everyone at MSW. Rob, what a day. You know, barring ESCOM's load shedding and stuff like that, I don't think I'll miss any inch of Peter Jury's commentary. I'll be glued from my TV, Rob, from 8 o'clock, man.
Yeah, he's saying he's not going to miss out on the game, Peter. You're going to be carrying the world feed tonight. I saw in a lot of the preps that we get sent here that you're going to be the man behind the mic. Excited for Bilbao, excited for Peter. Where does this rank, though, of the many, many games you've done at different levels across the world?
Well, as I say, I give it a category, Robert, all of its own. It almost defies ranking. It's a game that doesn't belong in any sense alongside any other. I've seen plenty of these Europa League finals and UEFA Cup finals before them and Champions League finals, and they, of course, each have a context of their own, but they, on the whole, tend to have some sort of historical precedent. This one feels as though it doesn't. There have been all-English finals before, plenty of those. There's certainly been a number of one-nation finals. But to have seen the streets of Bilbao today and to have seen Manchester United and Tottenham fans piling in their exuberant numbers for this extraordinary one-off event is something entirely separate to anything I've ever seen before. And all I hope, really, as an onlooking neutral, is that the game is a really good one and gives us something to be excited about.
You know what I wish for, Peter? I wish to see something like we saw in the Inter versus Barcelona game, where after extra time it was 4-3, where aggregate was 7-6, but it was just the gung-ho nature that left everybody just in awe of saying, what is going to happen next? For me, that was football to be remembered.
Exactly so. And here to that. You know, let us hope that we get something like that. Something like Manchester United's crazy game against Lyon, you know, in the quarterfinal, which was beyond all logic. If they can serve us up a memorable night's football, I think whilst some will be jubilant and some will be downcast at the end of it all, I think we as football-loving neutrals, such as we are, we would settle for that.
Oh, Peter, we're looking forward to it, and I think you've just gotten all of us excited, super excited as well for the game tonight. And best of luck. We're going to be watching, we'll be listening, and always we appreciate your involvement in the show.
And it's always lovely to speak with you, Robert. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you so much. All the way live from Bilbao. That is where Peter Drury is stationed, ready and able. I think more than able. I think he's hyped up. Hey, he almost put on his commentary voice, and that's the exciting thing, is that he sounds the way he talks. Thank you so much, Peter.
Hashtag MSW live now on 947 Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Soweto Live at the same time. Hashtag MSW.
Sometimes your dreams can take you places. You could be dreaming about buying a new bag and then dream about securing the bag. If your dream wasn't taking you places, you wouldn't think of starting a business. But because it is, you start one. A security company that just secures bags. Your business becomes so successful that you buy a town called Burgersford. Because it's only right that a guy who owns a security company for bags buys Burgersford. And then it hits you. The smell of chicken licking hot wings. And suddenly you realize, no man, the bag in Burgersford is not even bag. And why would you start a security company that secures bags? Also, who has ever secured the bag by securing bags? No one. And that's when you realize that the only thing that can bring you back when your dreams take you places is the smell of hot wings Soul 6 from Chicken Licking for only $50. Because when the cravings got you, it's got you. Chicken Licking, soul food.
When there's a baby on the way, but you drive a two-door.
It's wheelie time to sell it.
When your wife finds out that you bought a sports car and not the 7-seater she wanted.
Yo, It's wheelie time to sell it now.
When it's wheelie time to sell your car, get a better deal at Wheelie Centurion. It's open 7 days a week. Or visit wheelie.co.za and get an instant payment without getting off your couch.
South Africa runs on you, the business owners. Without you, nothing moves. And that's why we built Lula, South Africa's first business-only banking suite to give you the support you need. From faster access to funding to unlimited EFTs for a single fee and skilled relationship bankers ready to help your business grow. Visit lula.co.za and experience business class banking and funding today. Powered by Access Bank. T's and C's apply.
Do you sometimes feel like you're not reaching your full potential and often hitting a slump? Slowmag, the #1 magnesium supplement, helps you fight that constant feeling of tiredness and aids in rapid recovery after physical activity. Slowmag is available from leading retail pharmacy chains, selected retail stores, and independent pharmacies nationwide. Beat your slump with Slowmag. Visit slowmag.co.za for more. Get information on medicines without a prescription from the online medicine directory from your trusted source, Sapra.
The briefcases, the offers, the suspense. Don't miss a single moment on Deal or No Deal. Weeknights at 6:30 only on SABC2. It's real people, real money. One bold move could change everything. Fortune favors the bold. Will you deal? Brought to you by Lotto Star.
Lotto Star is licensed by the Mpumalanga Economic Regulator. No under 18s. National Responsible Gambling Program. 0800 006 008. T's and C's apply. All games are fixed odds betting events.
Previously on Marawa Sports Worldwide.
And there's the goal. It's been given. Habri did indeed play Kakana offside.
African champions in the studio. Coach Raymond Mdaka is here in studio. Khumulemo Kekane is also here. I see what Coach Ray did with his technical team is allow you guys to play to your strengths.
We are all talented. We know that they're talented players, but with our talent, and then we follow their technical adjustments and their things that they tell us to do before the games. So I think with our quality, and then we also have their tools that they give us before the game. I think that's what pulls us through games.
Yo, Khuma, you just said something. I think people are not listening. They're not listening very carefully. You said something very key. You said you know that you are what?
Listen properly. We are talented.
Sorry, man. I had your microphone off. Can you repeat that? You know that
we all know that we are talented.
Coach, half your job is done when a player talks like this.
Exactly. #MSW. #MSW.
Good evening, Rob. The Armenia from Randfontein to Komsras. One fact about tonight's game is that Man United are unbeaten throughout the whole tournament. So I don't think they would have fought this hard to get this far and then lose it. So United will definitely take this one 3-1 tonight. Thanks, Rob.
3-1, wow. Is that something achievable? All right, coming up also later on, you're going to be heading off to Germany. I mean, what an end it has been. Classic one as well with regards to the Bundesliga. I also give you the latest as far as breaking news is concerned regarding the hearing today. Remember, JDR, their case was chucked out at costs. But then today, it seems like both JDR and Spurs have now escalated it from a protest straight to arbitration. So when that arbitration is going to be sitting, I have no idea. All I know is that, there's further buying of time in a case that really should not be happening. But right now, though, I mean, they've dominated England. The Sky Blues are fighting on new fronts. So Man City, a season of twists, though tight margins, also a Champions League spot still on the line. It has a certain prepares to fall. One of their greatest ever, Kevin De Bruyne, prepares to say goodbye. So joining me tonight is the man with the inside story, legendary Manchester City correspondent Ian Cheeseman, to break down the title tension. I mean, the De Bruyne departure, we all saw the tears all round. I don't think there was a dry eye in that stadium yesterday, including the coach, Pep Guardiola. Simply just in tears. So he's gone. So what's the next step, though, for Pep's men? And this is more than just the end of the season. It could be the end of an era, or is it? Ian Cheeseman, all the way in Manchester. Good evening and welcome to the show.
Always nice to speak to you, Robert.
Were you also in tears last night?
If I'm being really honest, No, because I was working effectively, because I have a YouTube channel which I create content for. So I was really focused on what I was doing. And I've been covering City for so long. I've seen so many comings and goings that maybe I'm a bit long in the tooth, but it was certainly done very well by the football club, very, very professionally. A very fitting departure for Kevin De Bruyne, who without doubt has been one of the most exceptional players I've ever seen, not only at Manchester City, but in the Premier League. And bear in mind that I've been covering professional football as a professional since the late 70s and into the 80s. So I've seen them all, really, of that era. I was even lucky enough to see, Best, Law and Charlton, the famous trio at United in the late 60s, and Belley and Summerby, and that side, the City side that won the league in 68 and the Cup in 69 and Cup Winners' Cup in 70. So I've seen a lot of different eras. And Kevin De Bruyne is right up there. I mean, David Silva was an amazing player. Vincent Kompany, Sergio Aguero. We've been blessed to see some great footballers at City in this current sort of decade, just over a decade of enormous success. But Kevin De Bruyne has been very much one of the best. I believe there was a mosaic unveiled of him by the chairman. I believe there's going to be another statue, so that'll be 4 statues now, as well as Belley, Summerby outside the Etihad Stadium. And I think it's richly deserved. And the thing about Kevin is he's such a modest man. If you watched any of the coverage, he looked almost embarrassed. I don't mean he was embarrassed, but he's just not one of those demonstrative type footballers who revels in it. He just took it in his stride, and I know he was obviously emotional, but took it in the right way. Let's put it that way.
Sure. And I know that all the conversation as well, maybe I was reading too much into it, when you heard both the interview on the field, Ian, and also when he was given the microphone to say whatever it is that he wanted to address the crowd and obviously the millions that are watching around the world, the one thing that really he never really touched on was maybe a thank you to his coach.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, where I was inside the stadium, it was actually hard to hear his exact words because he's quite quietly spoken and the crowd kept reacting and cheering and whatnot, but they did put subtitles up on one of the big screens. But yes, I noticed that as well. But Pep himself looked very emotional. I mean, the whole situation of him departing has been strangely handled before last night, I mean, in the sense that he's been giving interviews where he's been asking, would he have liked to have stayed and what are his plans next? And he kept inferring that he didn't want to go, that he felt fully fit, that, he had 2 or 3 more top-level, seasons in him. He is only 34. And we saw Jamie Vardy, for example, at Leicester at 38, setting a club record for goals and appearances at Leicester. There's no reason, I don't think, that Kevin De Bruyne couldn't have played on, but in the type of system that Pep has, where every part of the machine has to be right on tune and completely mobile and fully fit, De Bruyne doing what, for example, Pirlo did, if you remember him, back in Italy, in the Juventus days, where he would sit and be the man who distributed the ball, I don't think would work in a Pep team, even though you could argue that's a certain amount of what Rodri does, but they'd obviously made the decision, and Kevin De Bruyne said it's a business decision, which suggests to me that they need his wages to attract another top footballer from Europe. And we know that they're interested in Florian Wirtz, who doesn't look like he's going to come now, but that would have been, let's get rid of Kevin De Bruyne, whose contract runs out, and that sort of near £500,000 a week can then be used to entice another top but much younger player. So it feels like that's what's been going on, pure business decision rather than something through any type of sentiment.
Yeah. Would you say, though, and this will be purely speculation, Ian, and I think you've just described it perfectly now in terms of what could happen next and what he's still capable of doing given the many years that he has and the fact that he doesn't really have to run around the field too much, is he a player that you would imagine landing at a Chelsea, for example?
Well, he was at Chelsea previously, and I don't know whether he would be inclined to go back there because there was a certain amount of resentment about how quickly he was cast aside before he went to Wolfsburg in Germany and then on to City. But he hasn't ruled out, after the cup final he was interviewed, and he hasn't ruled out staying in the Premier League. So, Liverpool, United, Tottenham, he could, in theory, pop up somewhere. He's also talked about how important his family is. Since he moved to Manchester, he's had 3 young children. They'll be going to school. They'll be speaking English probably as their first language, or certainly very clued up in English, if not their first language. And they will probably consider themselves, the kids anyway, to be Mancunians. And they're at a certain stage in their school life. So will he want to move them to another country suddenly? Another part of the country, in fact. And he has hinted that is going to be a very important part of his decision. So somewhere like Villa, if he was staying in the Premier League, might be just about the right distance away, or Leeds, the newly promoted Leeds, or maybe Liverpool or Everton or somewhere like that, maybe United, would all fit in with that sort of thinking. But as you say, it's speculation at this stage.
Sure. The one thing that Pep said, and I was really looking forward to chatting to you, to try and read in between the lines at times, because, Pep will say certain things, but at times it requires you to go to a different level of thinking. And I'm quoting here of what he said. That was after the game last night. He says, I said to the club, I don't want that. I don't want to put 5-6 players in the tribune. I don't want that. I will quit. If they don't make a short squad, I will not stay. How does this land on you when you hear Pep, maybe for the first time, really being vocal about this?
Yeah, very interesting. He's never hidden the fact that he likes to work with a small squad, but the quotes that you're alluding to are a lot more direct, aren't they? He's never talked during his 9 years at City, about it threatening to quit. It feels to me as if what happened in January when City went out and signed 4 players for 180 million, and they were Marmoush, Kuzhinov, Rice, 2 defenders, by the way, and Gonzalez, or Nico, as he calls himself, because he's his first name. Those 4 players came in, and relatively speaking, he hasn't really been using them very much. So that feels to me as if that was a club decision, because they were panicking a little bit about injuries to defenders, because Ake, Stones, even Ruben Diaz, they've all had sort of long-term serious injuries. Akanji was out for a while as well. So suddenly they thought, we've got to sign somebody, we've got to sign some defenders. And there's also a little bit of a conspiracy theory in the back of my head thinking, because it's still to be settled, that if they were found guilty at some level of the 115 charges and were put into a transfer embargo, was that an attempt to try to strengthen the squad just in case that happened? So next season, in theory, all the players that have been injured will still be available, but the new ones will have been added to the squad, and he has never shied away from the fact that he doesn't want an over big squad. But very interesting use of language, because I've never heard him be quite so pointed in the way that he's threatening. I mean, I was at the press conference on Friday, and it's funny because I was sat next to a guy who reports for a national newspaper, who I know very well, and when the press conference finished, he said to me, Pep was surprisingly up, considering that they'd lost the cup final against Crystal Palace on Saturday. And it's funny, I turned to him, I said, it's funny because I read that completely opposite. I felt he was performing, he was acting, but his body language suggested to me that exactly the opposite. I then went downstairs and bumped into a steward at the club who'd been watching the screening of the press conference but couldn't hear the words. And without me prompting to him, he said, Pep looked really down there. I've never seen him like that before. So I thought, well, at least I'm reading the body language right. At the moment, I don't know where Pep is. And obviously, with the Club World Cup coming up in the middle of this summer, it would be I'm not suggesting he's going to walk away or quit. I don't know that. But if he was thinking that way, surely he's not going to do it just before the Club World Cup. Nor is he going to do it in the 3 weeks between the end of the Club World Cup and the start of a new season. That doesn't feel like his personality. So he might be feeling down, and obviously this is the first trophyless season in under his well, second, I suppose, if you count the first season, but the first for a while. It must be going through his head, mustn't it?
Sure. I think when you talk about the body language, I think that's the worrying part, Ian, is that I think with Tex also having gone, there's going to be a new person in that role. Do they align in terms of the types of players that he needs? Because there has to be almost a refresh button that has to be pressed at Manchester City.
You're dead right. I mean, you saw what happened when Fergie went at United. Obviously, a bit of an exception at Liverpool when Klopp went and Slot came in and just carried on with basically the same squad. It can work either way, but generally, you recruit based on what you're trying to create. Amorim at United is trying to, he hasn't had enough windows yet. I'm not defending him. I'm just saying he hasn't had enough windows to sign the type of players that fit into the system that his team wants to play. Whoever comes in, whenever it is, to succeed Pep, will they play exactly the same way? And don't forget, City have just changed their director of football as well. So Chiki Begiristain, who was absolutely on the same wavelength as Pep, knew what he wanted, and so they worked together well, is being replaced this summer, although the transition has already started, with Hugo Viana, who was at Sporting Lisbon, and he might have different thoughts on recruits. Indeed, he might have been behind the four that they signed in January. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that develops.
Sure. Just a quick one, Ian. I am out of time, though, but I thought it's quite important because City are still in a massive fight, though, for a Champions League spot. What would missing out on Champions League football mean, though, for City, both financially and also reputationally?
Well, they'll get 94 million from the Club World Cup, I believe. So financially, it wouldn't be quite as damaging as if they were in that tournament. But globally, yes, it would damage the reputation. And yes, they would still lose a big slice of income. I believe that the win against Bournemouth was enough to more or less get them over the line. I don't believe Chelsea will win their final game at Forest on Sunday. So City wouldn't really need anything else then to crawl over the line. But even if they did, I think City would find a way of getting what they need at Fulham. So I don't mean that in an entitled or arrogant way, but I do think City will finish in the top five. But I understand the question, and maybe that's a conversation to have the other side if they don't get in there.
No, 100%. I agree, Ian. Sure. I mean, it's been such a battle for City, but we hope that things do turn around. And I know for yourself as well, moving forward, given the many years you've been there, the love you have for the city, for the club, that things do change around. But as always, Ian, I hope to do a wrap with you when everything is done and dusted for the season. But thank you so much. And once again, highly appreciate the input.
Always my pleasure for you, Robert.
That's Man City correspondent Ian Cheeseman joining us right here on #MSW Marawa Sports Worldwide.
#MSW live now on 947 Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Sowetan Live at the same time.
#MSW. Look at Bruno. He's living his best life watching his favorite football team. He doesn't look like a saver.
No, I don't.
But every time his team scores, money is transferred into his savings account with Absa's Savings Coach. What did Bruno do to become a saver?
Well, easy. Go to the Absa banking app, set a goal, create an autosaver, set the amount, and...
Be like Bruno and try the fun way to save. Your story matters. Absa is an authorized FSP and a registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Streetwise called, we answered with an original Feeds original anthem featuring myself, 25K and Blackie. And as the Motok originator, I know nothing beats a collab for the culture. Get the new KFC Streetwise Feast with 5 pieces of original recipe chicken, large chips, 2 mini loaves, and 2 free small no sugar drinks for only $99.90. For a limited time only. Everybody around me go eat. KFC is finger licking good. Delivery fees are not included while stocks last. T's and C's apply. Visit kfc.co.za.
Honey, what are you doing?
I'm stretching for tonight.
I thought you're not dancing at bachelorette parties anymore.
Baby, we need the money to put Johnny through matric mos.
And what's the police uniform for?
The clients feel safer when I wear it.
No, man, just sell your bakkie to We Buy Cars. They give the best prices and they pay you within minutes.
Okay, but can I just go and dance one more time, please? You know how much I love it.
No, the buyer's already on his way here.
Wow, okay.
Strapped for cash? Just sell your vehicle to We Buy Cars. The easiest way to sell your car by far.
Be the first to get the Huawei Nova Y73 from Cell C. Get this fantastic deal on a 36-month Elevate 2 Plus contract for only 399 Rand per month. Plus, get 10 gigs once of data absolutely free. Go in store or call 084 145. Offer valid until 3 June. T's and C's apply. Nothing should stop you. Switch to C. Cell C, the official partner of the Comrades Marathon.
Mzansi, we've seen your Take-A-Lot cards and you've been shopping. Last year, you bought over 200,000 smartwatches, 9 million nappies, and you cleaned us out of dishwashing liquid. Was there a national gathering we missed? Clearly, when you love something, you really do. That's why Take-A-Lot is giving you up to 55% off the things you love. Shop the Thanks A Lot sale 23 May to 1 June. To know you is to spoil you, Mzansi.
This winter at Pick n Pay Hypermarket, a small act can make a big difference to someone in need. Simply buy and donate a 5 Rand soup packet at Pick n Pay Hypermarket and help feed someone today. Every donation gives you a chance to win one of 21 trailers when you swipe your registered Smart Shopper card. It's our way of saying thank you. Only at Pick n Pay Hypermarket. Valid 19 May to 29 June. T's and C's apply.
Previously on Marawa Sports Worldwide.
Months of fighting to reclaim a voice that was taken, months of standing against forces that actually tried to silence her, but our former SAFA media officer, Unam Hlampelo.
A very short morning that I had at the CCMA today.
Short, why?
SAFA, they went and lodged a dispute to postpone my arbitration. So we weren't even in court 25 minutes. So we had a chance where we could reconciliate this morning, and they said that they were not willing to reconciliate, so I was granted a certificate to go straight to arbitration.
Sure, okay, I'm no lawyer. Dispute to postpone means what?
Arbitration means that they need to make a final decision whether they're going to take me back or pay me out, and they've made it clear that they do not want me back.
#MSW. #MSW.
Evening, Tarob. You have a new fan, Lana. My 10-year-old wants to give you a prediction for tonight's game.
I think the score is going to be 3-4 for Man United and 3 to Tottenham. And sit down and relax, enjoy the game.
Good evening, Mr. Marawa. Ukhuluma noSibongelelo Kamkhwani kaMgaya Matafeni. Mr. Marawa, I'm looking forward to a game yanamhlanje between Man United and Tottenham. I think this is our last hope for us as Manchester United fans who have been through a lot this season, Mr. Marawa. I think had the season continue and had more games, for sure we were going to be relegated. But I'm delighted that we are playing a final today, so the boys must make sure that they wipe our tears with this trophy, because it was one of the worst seasons for Manchester United. Thank you, Mr. Marawa. Good show as always.
All right, we're going worldwide. It is #MSW building up towards the big final tonight. Also on a big night for South Africa. Storming into the White House, eh? Yeah, all sorts of things happening if you're on the road, though. Hey, they just played out a video of all, it would almost be like, Julius Malema's there. But yeah, they played all those videos and they wanted a reaction. The journalists who are in attendance as well responding, but obviously the president of the country in South Africa not being given much of a chance. So there is a bit of a back and forth that is going on right now. Not sure how prepared Team SA is, but we want them to be winning. South African teams have been winning, so they need to win as well.
What will it take for you to be convinced that there's no white genocide in South Africa?
Well, I can answer that for the President.
To you. Thank you, Mr. President.
It will take President Trump listening to the voices of South Africans, some of whom are his good friends, like those who are here. When we have talks between us on around a quiet table, it will take President Trump to listen to them. I'm not going to be repeating what I've been saying. I would say if there was Afrikaner farmer genocide, I can bet you these three gentlemen would not be here, including my Minister of Agriculture. He would not be with me. So it'll take him, President Trump, listening to their stories, to their perspective. That is the answer to your question.
But, Mr. President, I must say that we have, wait. Let me see the articles, please, if you would, and turn the lights down.
We don't care. We can do whatever you want to do. Who are you to tell us whether we can occupy land or not? We are going to occupy land. Yeah. South Africa occupy land. That's who we are.
Yeah, just dragging you into the scenes of what's happening in the White House while you're listening to the show as well, because I know that there is a South Africa relationship that is here, and also a massive interest as well. So I'm going to drift away from that, but as I said, we got to keep you up to date. It's a busy evening for us. From Harry Kane's goal-scoring heroics to Mikel Olise's stunning performances. I mean, from the legendary Thomas Müller hanging up his boots to Paulsen's remarkable Bundesliga promotion, and of course, Bayern Munich season filled with twists and turns. The dust, believe you me, has settled now. The final whistle has been blown, and now it is time to break it all down. Joining us live now from Germany is Mario Leo. I know he's been traveling a lot these days. He's the founder of @Results Sport, the stats expert. He is ready to dissect the highs and the heartbreaks as well of the history-making moments, though, that we've seen in the Bundesliga. So let's head off now to Frankfurt in Germany. Mario, thank you so much for your time. Good evening. How do you summarize what we've seen in this 2024-25 Bundesliga season? Is it one word? Is it a sentence? How do you capture it?
Oh, it's a lot. Good evening, Robert. It's great to be back on the show. It's a great pleasure to be part of your show, as always, and send greetings to all the listeners around the world. Bundesliga has been very exciting in some moments, but very boring in many other moments. Obviously, Bayern regained their title with an outstanding season. To be honest, there was a lot of consistency, and obviously the bailouts, or let's say the issues they had, were minimal. And obviously they wished to have the Champions League final at home. That was their big dream, and they didn't achieve that. So it's good for Vincent Kompany to claim the title, the domestic title. That's what's expected from FC Bayern. But unfortunately, international merits are more difficult to claim these days.
Yeah, I mean, when you describe it that way, Mario, as well, I mean, which team sort of surprised you the most with their performances? I know the last time you were traveling and we spoke, it was such a historic moment for Harry Kane. It was such a historic moment as well for Bayern Munich as a whole, including their coach, who many people are just really not given much of a chance for. Was that the team that surprised you, or did you expect it to kind of end that way?
Actually, the last 10 days, Robert, again, they've been exciting, because I went to the last home game of FC Bayern, went inside the stadium, watched Harry Kane celebrate with his family, and saw and listened to Thomas Müller's farewell words. Very sad, obviously, how Bayern kind of treated this legend who wanted to stay for another year. Unfortunately, the board of directors have decided against, and obviously that's something which leaves behind how we deal and how we treat our legends. Obviously, you've talked about Kevin De Bruyne's farewell yesterday, who also has a very, very heavy heart to leave Manchester. So that's something, obviously, I think the clubs need to learn. The clubs are shaking here in Europe, not shaking in the way that it's all about emotions and passion, but they are shaken to become business units, and business units need to perform at their level best. They need to decide like corporations, And when a player is kind of just reaching his peak point and is kind of downgrading a little bit, the legendary moments, unfortunately, don't count anymore. That's a huge difference to the 80s, the 90s, and the early 2000s. And that sort of leaves behind. What kind of leaves me kind of stunned is obviously the rebirth of Borussia Dortmund. Yeah, the drive of the last 7 games, unbeaten in all 7, 6-1, 1 draw. Yeah, clinched the last Champions League spot at the dead end of the season with the heroic 3-0 victory. I think that was a great storyline because Niko Kovac received a lot of concerns when he came. Is he the right person for Borussia Dortmund? Yeah, he already coached Bayern. He's not a fan man, and obviously he kind of countered all his critics and achieved what Dortmund's basically need. Yeah, they need Champions League spots to maintain, to invest in the squad and be a rival of Bayern. And obviously now, the second year in a row where Bayer Leverkusen is in the top 2, sort of made that spot or claimed that spot from Borussia Dortmund to be in the top 2 of the Bundesliga. And now you see the big change. Jonathan Tah will leave. Yeah, we expect him to go to Bayern Munich. Xabi Alonso took the head coaching role at Real Madrid. Hincapie is on thread. Flo Wirtz is being discussed around Europe as a big diamond. So it's going to be a huge change and an interesting summer for Bayer Leverkusen. And for Bayern and Dortmund, obviously the next couple of weeks are critical in the build-up for the FIFA Club World Championship, where these 2 teams represent Bundesliga on global club level.
Sure. And you mentioned the Xabi Alonso leaving Bayer Leverkusen. I mean, it's a direct thing. Obviously, no unveiling has been done, but it's Real Madrid.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. It's that's a huge thing. I think he wouldn't have left it for many other roles. Obviously, he played for Real Madrid. He played for Bayern, and obviously then the circle now closes again with Real Madrid. So I think that's a big step for him. But he's proven that he is a champion, and also proven that he's kind of in a second year in a row is a top 2 coach, and his team played well and performed well. And obviously there are also some players frustrated, who were in the championship team who didn't kind of had a big role in the second year now. And obviously with the new coach, Bayer Leverkusen can rebuild that. The biggest surprise package, to be honest, is Mainz 05. Obviously who kind of 14, 15 months ago just escaped relegation. And now represent the Bundesliga on the conference level, and they were obviously up in 4th and 5th sort of since match day 28, 29 with a great series or run of results, and that's kind of really great to see a Freiburg and the Mainz on 5 and 6, and the club we all expected to be on international level, RB Leipzig, the Red Bull kind of sponsored club, didn't achieve an international spot for the first time since they got promotion to the Bundesliga. So that's a huge setback, and there is talk that Xavi Simons is going to leave during the summer because he wants to play on European competitions. And obviously they have also 3, 4, 5 players like Openda, the striker, who are of interest for many big teams in the league. So I think the Bundesliga now, the summer period, will see a big transition period. I hope that we don't lose a lot of, or that the Bundesliga doesn't lose a lot of individual quality, but always a danger, because obviously you can see now that the business shift to play in the Premier League, to play in La Liga is a desire. The Italian teams have gained some financial strength again. That's why AC Milan, Juventus, Napoli, Roma and Inter are destinations for Bundesliga players. I hope the train of talent will not be too big, and our clubs, especially the ones who qualified for Europe, are smartly investing and really go forward on their rise.
Just a quick one. I've got a minute left. I wanted to ask you about some of the young talents. We're seeing this outburst of talent. Barry, I'm sure you're seeing it in different leagues across the world. I mean, if you had to think maybe of 1 or 2 that the fans should really keep an eye on for next season.
Definitely. I mean, Bayern kind of already implemented Stanisic and Pavlovic. Obviously, Jamal Musiala, he's great, but obviously had an injury period as well. And for me, Bayern kind of signed already one of the brightest talents, Tom Bischoff from TSG Hoffenheim, who played about 20 games last season for Hoffenheim and been a great player. Won with the German under-18, the under-18 World Championships in a surprise kind of move, because Germany was not part of the favorites, but clinched the title in Indonesia. And there are obviously some players coming through that, and I think Borussia Dortmund is also kind of on the brink of building a new team with more consistency, with more strength. So they are also trying to fight for Job Bellingham, the brother of Jude Bellingham, obviously with the credit that his older brother already played. He's tensed to come to the Bundesliga, and the Bundesliga is really becoming a platform of, let's say, 17 to 21-year-old. Almost all European talents, because when you look at Kolomuani's story, when you look at Etikite playing for Eintracht Frankfurt, he's destined for some big European club. Baroya, another kind of talent from Frankfurt in the offensive side, he's destined possibly for an international. So
it sounds like it's a whole array of new and exciting players there, Mario.
Exactly, Robert. Exactly.
Sorry, just cutting it because
I expect a few more signings.
Oh man!
I expect just to finish off.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Please keep us up to date, because it's not the last conversation I'm going to have with you. When you talk about that, that's where I'll pick up with you. The exciting signings we can look forward to, because we're getting into that silly season of transfers, the players that are leaving and those that are coming in. Mario, simply because of time, I've got to say goodbye to you all the way in Frankfurt. A great pleasure. Thank you so much.
No problem at all, Robert. I wish you a great show. Thanks so much for having me on the show, and all the very best to everybody.
Thank you very, very much indeed. Founder of Ad Result Sports, that is Mario Leo. Tune in again tomorrow for Marawa Sports Worldwide, probably brought to you by Hollywood Bets.
The thrill, the drama, the action. Play the game again. Marawa Sports Worldwide on 947, Vuma FM and Rise FM. Powered by Hollywood Bets. #MSW live now on 947 Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Soweto Live at the same time.